All right. I hate just to keep saying it is what it is. Like, I get it. We got a job to do. We're supposed to come in and talk about it, but for F's sake, it is what it is. Project Gameday postgame show. Ravens lose to the Bengals. They dropped to 8-7 on the season, and we will see. The good news for them is the Chargers. That's stunning. The Chargers are going to lose to the Texans.
They did 41-29.
So that's good news for Ravens in the race for a wild card spot if they can still get into it, because the Chargers take a second loss today as well. Now there will be teams we know at least one other 7-loss team.
Have to lose.
But they got a tie in there too, so the Ravens have the edge over them there. It's the Broncos-Raiders game, right, where both of them have 7 losses. So one of those two teams will move into a tie. Since the Raiders have a win over the Ravens, it would be good news for the Ravens if the Raiders were to lose that one. But there's still 2 weeks left. There's a lot that can happen at this point. And the Bengals are going to keep holding on right now. Project Gameday postgame show is brought to you by Window Nation.
That makes them feel good about themselves. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Now Rita's going to be petty. Now Rita's bringing out her petty.
They petty, not me.
Brought to you by Window Nation, Florida, and thrilling underdog fantasy football. Did that like put him over 500 yards or something? Was that their thing? I'm not going to complain about it. The Ravens literally were the team that ran a play at the end of the game and tried to get over 100 yards rushing. Like, you're not getting me to be mad about any of this. I mean, I guess technically the Ravens still have 3 timeouts, so like they can't run out the clock. But Rita, trust me, I'm with you. I don't know what's going on right now. I have no clue, and nor honestly do I care.
If anybody comes into this chat today, Glenn, and they are upset, honestly, please take that. Look, we want your energy for sure. I want you to sound off, but I just would like to say that the holidays was yesterday, and if you came in here, if you're going to come into the chat yelling and screaming about fire this, fire that, blah, 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 knowing that these guys are guys that they just grabbed out of the super. They're not even the practice squad. I mean, they were on the practice squad, but like Tony Jefferson just was on somebody else's practice squad and he got dumped. And I don't even know who these guys are. So if you are upset about what's happening right now, I honestly don't listen. Please channel that type of energy into like maybe Steelers week. Where you potentially get more guys back there, or maybe next week, because this ain't the week to be upset. Don't let your blood pressure get up because guys off the street played in defense today. I'm just saying.
Rita, I've said this a bunch of times in the last couple weeks. It would be so much better if the Ravens were just out of it. Like if they hadn't won a bunch of games at the beginning of the season. Remember the year that Joe Flacco got hurt and they had to play Ryan Mallett and they had to play Jimmy Clausen. And it was just easier to say, look, we don't have to watch the games. It's over. These aren't really the Ravens that are out there because you already knew. In fact, at that point, it was easier to say, look, it's just better to lose. It's better to lose. I wrote a column admitting I was rooting for them to lose because at this point, the only thing there was to play for was a better draft position. It's more difficult because the Ravens came into today, as absurd as the scenario is, they still came into today very much alive for a chance to win the AFC North. It's just that it was
even though we knew that, we knew.
You're judging 2 things against each other, and it's very difficult to deal with these 2 diametrically opposite things. One being, this is not an NFL football team. This is absurd to think that they can do this, but on the flip side, you have this scenario where, but like, what if they were to pull off a miracle? But what if they were to pull off a miracle? Then they'd be controlling things in the AFC North. So we have these very weird sort of conflating emotions that we're feeling about it, and I do think that leads you to get overly upset about certain things. Like I still saw people complaining about play calls today. I'm like, what? What play do you think you're gonna call?
The play calls were actually fine today, or any other day. I know you guys don't like Greg Roman. I am not that person that agrees with you in that regard. And so, if you're telling me that 3 different quarterbacks have found a way to be productive on offense under the same dude, to me, then that dude ain't that big of as big of a problem as you'd like to think that he is.
Well, I mean, I strongly agree with that.
That is my personal. Now, do I have an issue with the fact that you started off with up-tempo when I've been begging for y'all to do up-tempo for all damn year? Yes, because why the hell haven't you done that before? However, I do realize that in that position with who you played with, it worked out better to do that because it's a guy that's not had a lot of reps. You're just trying to get
Sure.
the momentum going. So I understand the logic, but I just wish that same logic would apply when you kind of need your offense to get a spark during the season when you were struggling. So this is not.
It was also going to be unsustainable because you had to put your defense out. Like, this secondary was going to have to go on the field at some point.
Eventually, it was going to have to go in. And that's why I'm saying, like, if you're on the chat and you are really upset, I just want you to understand that it is not. I need you to have some perspective, okay? I know that as fans, we get really tied to it. But in this case, right, like, this particular team on defense, if you are upset about that, man, come on.
These aren't the Ravens. These aren't. This is a group of
these
players
people
that are
are.
wearing purple because somebody had to go out there and play because
Literally.
that's the way the world works. Like, the Ravens weren't going to forfeit the game. They're going to show up and they were going to say, "Here's the players we got." And this was going to happen. It is remarkable that they've gotten as far as they've gotten, and they've been in these last few games. I get it. I'm not trying to be disrespectful towards Josh Johnson, who I think it's remarkable that
I've always been a fan of Josh Johnson as a backup quarterback.
Right,
so
but
the
let's
fact
not,
that he's moved around kind of irritates me because I feel like and let me say this, when the Ravens chose Ryan Mallett over Josh Johnson a couple years ago, I felt a way about it because I felt like Josh Johnson outplayed Ryan Mallett in that preseason. I think he's a backup though. Let's be clear, right? I mean, there's tape on Josh Johnson, but not a whole lot of tape because Snoop just went to the protocol Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Literally at the end of the week, Huntley couldn't play. So now you have to bring in a guy that you weren't preparing for because you were preparing for Tyler Huntley more than likely. I think it was a good chance that Lamar wasn't going to play. Now you have to figure out how to play against this guy, and now you have to try to find last-minute tape against this guy. So that's why he could be as productive as he's been. But I jumped ahead of you because I feel like that's what you were getting ready to say. Like, let's let Josh Johnson be who he was in that moment and not overblow that moment of who he was.
I'm comparing it to the last couple of weeks when they were able to keep the games at least close.
Yes.
I think that's the confusing part, right? The confusing part for some people might be, hey, let's not pretend like you had a team last week. You still had an utterly depleted secondary, and yet you somehow were in that football game. So what's really different? The first thing somebody would say is, well, you had at the moment, it looks like Tyler Huntley is more of a quarterback than Josh Johnson is. We still don't really know that. We don't really have answers on any of them. But the way that they played, Tyler Huntley has shown you something, or at least the way he played last week, that makes you think he might be a modicum of an NFL quarterback. Again, we're a long way away from having an actual answer about that. Losing Anthony Averett on top of everything else absolutely was a difference today. You had one actual outside cornerback left, and I get it. None of us feel all that strongly about Anthony Averett as being a significant player, but when the rest of your options are the guys they trotted out there, losing Anthony Averett hurt. He was the one guy. Now, was it going to be that much different if Anthony Averett had played for the entirety of the game? Probably not.
Right.
Like, it probably was not going to change a lot, but it helps. It's nice to have a player on the field instead of none. This secondary was always going to be exploited.
Yep.
It was always going to be exploited. And the most likely scenario is it's going to be exploited for the next couple of weeks, too.
Yes.
The most likely scenario is at this point, it's going to spiral. They're going to go 8-9, and they're going to miss the playoffs. That's the most likely scenario. This is the NFL. In the NFL, goofy things occur, and you were a 2-point conversion away from winning 2 of the last 3 games. Goofy things can happen. But at the moment, as many of you predicted at the point at which they lost the Steelers game, they're not going to be favorites to win their next 2 games. They're going to be dogs in both of them, most likely, both at home. And look, there's something to be said for that. The Rams traveling. Let's not pretend like the Rams have been overwhelming.
Matt Stafford threw 3 picks today.
Correct. Like we decided before the season that they were champions. So we've just continued with that as the season has gone on. But they're not overwhelming. It's not as if something miraculous couldn't occur in the next couple weeks. But the most likely scenario is you can't win with this secondary.
The crazy part is, Glenn, is that I felt more. I told somebody I felt more confident about this next week's game than this week's game because I knew what. This is a little bit more personal. It's a divisional matchup, and the Bengals knew that the Ravens were going to be banged up, and they were going to exploit that. And I'm not saying that the Rams won't. I'm not saying that by any means.
I would say pray for snow next week is what I would do. Pray for snow.
I just feel like the Rams. It's just a different dynamic, right? That was a divisional play that was for the division at this point. The Rams so happen to lose to the Ravens. It doesn't affect their conference record. There's just some different things here. And at home, I think the Ravens just are a team that at the very least fights, minus the Bengals game the first time. I just feel like that they're a team that when they were in their home crowd, they do play at a certain level. So I really felt like this was the game that, hey, I'm chalking this up as an L, and then next week is the game that I'm like, they probably might have a fighting chance, even though Aaron Donald's on that team.
And
I'm just saying.
I wish I could tell you that I agreed. I don't feel like that. I don't feel like they can beat anybody with this secondary.
I guess I feel like Stafford is, to me, the biggest question mark on that team because if you get him rattled, then potentially you have an opportunity to stay in the ball game.
If you want to say the only thing that could have made this game different in some way today was the fact that early in the game they had opportunities to wrap up Joe Burrow in the backfield and they didn't do it, right? If you want to point that out and say,
first play.
Who knows what this game might look like if you just get Joe Burrow on the ground. The most likely scenario is not drastically different, but you don't need it to be drastically different in order for it to be interesting.
Right.
I'm listening, right? I will listen to that argument that it can be different in some sort of way if that's the case, but not that they're ever going to win.
Yeah.
We're going to get to some of your comments, and for the most part, everybody understands what's going on today.
Good.
Today's show is also brought to you by Glory Days Grill. The seasonal menu is available right now at your neighborhood Glory Days Grill. You've been doing a lot of cooking. Let them do some cooking for you. You can pick it up, take it home. Get your order in at glorydaysgrill.com. The short rib grilled cheese sandwich, the grilled meatloaf sandwich, the house-made meatloaf. It's all available at your neighborhood Glory Days Grill. Again, glorydaysgrill.com. All right, let's dive in. From Andrew Stecca, that was fun, need to watch. Okay, all right, Andrew. Sorry, we're not in the mood for that either. I love you. John in Little Rock. I get it. We're all coping. We're all dealing with the same thing. John from Little Rock, can't wait to get revenge on these clowns. They are bombing away with a minute left. Their coach is an ass and could have gotten Burrow hurt. I mean, if we did a show in Cincinnati, I would absolutely be the first person to say, what in the F are you doing at the end of the game? It's what I said at the end of the game against the Broncos. Like, there is zero reason for you to do this. And I got to figure out, if somebody already knows, because we had already started the show at that point, what it was there a number? It must have been 500 because he finished with 525.
525.
So that must have been to get the 500.
Yes.
They were trying to get Joe Burrow over 500.
They kneeled out. They kneeled out when they got inside the 10.
So if
all right, whatever. I don't feel no way about it.
It's the same thing that John Harbaugh said once upon a time. What matters to us doesn't matter to you.
And that's fine. That matters to them.
And Zach Taylor can walk in today and say the same thing. What matters to us doesn't matter to you.
I feel no way about that, Glenn.
I don't. On the Ravens side of things, not even a little bit. But I'm telling you, if I was in Cincinnati today, I'd say, the F are you doing?
I get it.
Like, what?
I understand.
This is the type of stuff that, like, imagine Bill Belichick doing that.
Okay, but also,
like, you just walk in and say, who the F cares about 500 yards? We won the football game. We don't do anything more to get hurt.
Yeah, and but also too, right? I get that you're comparing it to what the Ravens did, but I feel like what the Ravens did was different. It was a decade. It was a decades long, my brain isn't working. It was a decades-long record that they wanted to break. What was the intention of them breaking?
I don't know. I don't know when the last time they had a 500 yard.
So while
it might be that they've never had a 500-yard passer or something like that.
All right. So while I still don't care, right, because it does nothing for me, I still think that those are two different dynamics because they just wanted to keep the streak alive. Okay, fine. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with them going to the 500s. However, you're right in this fact that in this case, right, if the Ravens wanted to put some hot sauce on a tackle and do something to him, now we the bad guy. But you decided to keep your guy out there to play a football game that at that point was over.
This is the Buck Showalter thing. I don't care about any of this stuff. I care about winning. That's all I'll
and
ever.
And I'm fine with people caring about their own individual accolades. I am.
If you can get them,
if there's a consequence to that, and you go head to head with the consequence, then remember that's on you.
I guess my point, it better be worth it, right? Because I do think there are some things.
I felt like the Ravens ones was worth it. I don't know what that was about. Maybe he's never passed for 500 yards.
The people that had the previous record cared so much about it, they didn't know the record existed. the Ravens thing meant nothing.
It meant nothing to you or me, but it meant something to them, and that's what I'm saying.
Rita,
So,
I mean this. I was so happy when they didn't break the record the following week because I just thought
they just
they
tied it. Yeah.
Right. When it ended a week later, and they also, of course, they won that game against the Colts on that Monday night. They won the game anyway. Just go try to win football games. If you can do it, God bless, do it, right?
Well, that's what they did.
But if you've got to do things that are outside of normal football activities or outside of, it better be worth it. And I just never felt like that one was. From Jonathan, I don't know what we're doing here. Glenn, I promise not to try to make your blood pressure go crazy. I have one question for you all.
We're not yelling in here today, Glenn. Let me be clear.
Yeah, but I just don't get why this mattered. Besides Peters on defense, who are the other possible starters next season? What are you?
We looking for next season already.
Like, what are we? But what? I don't even understand what we're doing here. Like, we know.
Can we let the season in first?
But we also know that there are other players. Not everybody's a free agent at the end of the year. Like Patrick Queen's not.
Peter's not a free agent either.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to understand what your question is. Besides Peters on defense, who are the other possible starters next year? Jonathan, I just don't get what you're asking. Are you trying to get me to read the depth chart for 2022, or did you just word it incorrectly? I'm going to give you another shot at that to explain it to me. Not everyone on defense is a free agent. Like, are you saying you think the entire defense sucks? Most of them aren't playing. I thought Patrick Queen played about as well as you could ask him to play today, given the circumstances.
Sure did.
I think as a whole, we're all pretty excited about the trajectory for Patrick Queen as a player.
He's trended up.
He ain't Ray Lewis today, but he's proven himself to be a quality football player. If the standard is C.J. Mosley, at the moment, I think he's right about that level, frankly. And I get it. Part of the C.J. Mosley problem was that you wanted him to be more than what he was. But C.J. Mosley was also picked about 10 spots higher than Patrick Queen was in that draft, so you're looking for special at that point. I just don't know. I really don't know what you're getting at. Or if what you're saying is you don't think they have any talent on defense coming back next year, let's have that conversation in a different way. Has Odafe Owe's second half of the season in particular been disappointing? We can talk about that. I'm happy to talk about that. That's been a disappointment to me, the way that Odafe Owe has played in the second half of the year. Now, you hope that's nothing but him being a rookie and,
hitting a wall potentially.
You saw so much in the first half of the season that you like, that you're going to build off of that moving forward, and he's going to be a disruptive force. Tyus Bowser's been phenomenal. Today he wasn't great, right?
But overall,
this season he's been outstanding. He absolutely was worthy of being a Pro Bowler. He just didn't get selected to the Pro Bowl, and I typically don't care about that stuff. I was bummed because we like Tyus and we wanted to see him. We knew it was going to mean something to him if he did, and that didn't happen. That's a bummer. I guess I'm still just confused. What is it that you're trying to say? I'm not really trying to fight with you. I just need to know what it is that you're trying to say. Bill, selfish, no vaccine causes you to play because your team lost.
We don't know their statuses.
Yeah, I mean,
because they could still, even if they were vaccinated, they would still have
to
sit
they
out
would still have to test out.
They would still have to test out.
Yeah.
So that's an unfair thing to say, unless you know something, Bill, that we don't.
I mean, look, I'll say if anybody who
I don't know, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but there have been a lot of breakthrough cases going on lately with vaccinated people.
I don't know
but
sometimes we can do the math. Sometimes we can do the math that if somebody's announced as being out for a game that was a certain number of days away.
10 days, then we know that they're not vaccinated.
Right, then we know. I just don't know off the top of my head who we would know that about because there's been so much going on this week.
With Huntley, that came later in the week because originally he was just a non-COVID illness, and then it turned into the protocol.
And I guess the only question on Huntley would be, when they announced him out so quick. I mean, but it would have been very difficult for. Imagine testing positive on a Friday and testing negative on a positive on a Saturday and testing negative on a Sunday.
As of right now, we don't know who is and who's not based on the time.
Blanket, I have no problem saying anybody who remains unvaccinated, unless there's a legitimate medical reason, and as I've said a million times, the group of people that have an actual medical reason, it's incredibly small. Yes, as a whole, I think you're probably fairly selfish. I don't think I disagree with that. You have the right. That is your choice. But I've made it abundantly clear. There is no world is there a benefit to you not being vaccinated, and no matter what you think about it, there has proven to be a benefit from you getting vaccinated.
I
so
agree.
continuing to have this conversation is not something I'm going to continue to do. I don't think you're evil. I don't think you're, whatever it is. But yeah, if we find out that there are players that are going to miss games,
Then they selfish too.
like if we
gonna
find
call
out,
them out.
if we find out that certain players can't play because they're not vaccinated, then yeah, 100%, I'll be with you on that. That's selfish and it's shameful. It's embarrassing that this is still something that we're dealing with. From Patricia, as long as the Steelers aren't in it. So Patricia, I get you're sort of accepting now that you don't care if the Ravens are in it or not because we're just rooting to make sure it's not the Steelers.
Well, the Steelers right now, because they haven't played yet, have the 7th seed. But if they lose, then the Ravens switch and get the 7th seed. So, we're not out of it. If you care, right? Because you got some people that's
I got to see how the tiebreakers would work with the Broncos. Broncos, Raiders, and Dolphins all have 7 losses as well.
Correct.
And they all, like the Dolphins, what are the Dolphins? They're tomorrow against the Saints.
Yeah.
And
then
we
need those two to lose.
You
we need the Steelers and the Dolphins to lose.
And then the Broncos, Raiders, you'd be better off with it being the Broncos because you beat them than you would be with the Raiders because you lost to the Raiders.
Correct.
So ideally, the Broncos win that game.
I'm just saying that they're not mathematically out.
No, they're certainly.
If you care to even see them in the playoffs,
and that's. I think some people are kind of at this place where you're like, look, I get it. They're not mathematically out of it. It's just we're being practical a bit. It's not even being. I don't even think it's being dickish.
No,
I think it's being
so
super practical about the situation the Ravens find themselves in and sort of saying, look.
And understanding, right, like, do you really want to see this product in the playoffs?
Right. Do you want to watch that secondary? You really want to watch any more of that secondary? Now, to your point, Patricia, do I want to watch Ben Roethlisberger extend his career by coming into Baltimore and beating the Ravens in the final week of the season and getting one more? No, as much as I'm kind of done with this, I really hope that doesn't happen. I really hope that's not the case.
Yeah.
So that game will still matter. Bill is also mad about the Ravens' defense as a whole against the Bengals. Bill, the first game, 100%. The first game, the defense stunk. It was shameful what they did in that game.
Absolutely.
In the second half of that game.
Absolutely.
Today, this isn't the Ravens' defense.
It ain't even the same people back there.
It's the secondary, stupid, right? Like it's not saying you specifically, Bill. I'm doing a play on it's this. The secondary is not an NFL level secondary.
No, it's
I know we all like Tony Jefferson and
he played good today. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean he played
as good as he could. Because
I would say gutsy more than good, right? Like he tried his ass off, but there was a reason why Tony Jefferson was sitting on the street waiting for a phone call 2 weeks ago. This is not an NFL secondary.
Yeah,
this is Stevenson's secondary. I mean, this is.
Dang,
I don't know that they would.
You ain't
I
even
go
give
Morgan.
him
Right. I went right to Stevenson.
You ain't even say like
Towson.
like,
yeah, I didn't even go.
You ain't even go like straight up D1.
Yeah, I didn't go like Northern Illinois. I went straight.
Dang, yo.
Look, man, I'm not.
I mean, but you're not wrong, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what you expected. I absolutely saw the Bengals saying we're going to not take our foot off the gas and make sure that they don't get close to us to win this football game, and that's what happened. What more do we want here? You can't. If everybody started that we projected to start during the season, okay, I could see you being upset about it. Those guys weren't there and haven't been in quite some time, so I'm not really sure what you are mad about.
These aren't the Ravens. There's a few of them.
They just some dudes.
There's a few of them. Patrick Queen's still a Raven. Tyus Bowser's a Raven.
Dudes.
Bradley Bozeman's a Raven. Kevin Zeitler's. Mark Andrews is a Raven. And Andrews looked like a dude. Like he looked like a guy. Like the guys that are supposed to be players
are playing. Yes.
So what am I mad about? You want me to be mad about Daryl Worley? You want me to be mad about Daryl Worley?
Stop. Don't yell. Don't you dare yell. Don't do it because you was about to do it. You was about to get into it.
But I don't think anybody actually is trying to get me to be mad about Daryl Worley.
You was about to. You was about to get mad.
I was more performative than anything else.
You was about to push that chair back. You was about
to
push it back.
I know, but that was more for performance sake. I just what I can't. How am I going to care that Daryl Worley can't play in the NFL and was making business decisions in the second half?
You know what I gained from this, Glenn, because I had every intention. I had every intention of coming into this game and just saying, look, I don't expect them to win. So my job is to figure out what is it that I saw that I liked about this team. as decimated as they were. And the one thing I really, really liked, and I hope that we get more of, is James Prochet. Former
Yeah.
one of our co-hosts on the Tyus Bowser show a couple weeks ago, played really well.
It's a solid thing to see.
He played really. Wallace also had some impact on this team, but Prochet is a guy that just, it feels like, didn't really have an opportunity because of Duvernay kind of coming in.
Mhm.
But I would really like to see more of Prochet on the field when they have the starting group play, because he I feel like he could be a good slot receiver.
And you're not getting me back off how excited I am about Rashad Bateman. I am
First
over
touchdown.
the moon excited about
Dude
what
can
Rashad
play.
Bateman can
Dude
be.
can play.
I am. It is weird. I get it. It's puzzling that what happened in the Pittsburgh game. There are but Rashad Bateman on the whole, I am so excited. I hate using the words Anquan Bolden in Baltimore because it's unfair to anybody. But as far as pure talent is concerned, I haven't seen someone at that position with as much pure talent. Obviously, Hollywood Brown does some very good things. And when Steve Smith was here, he still did some good things. And there have been other guys that have had moments. But as far as a pure, talented football player at that position, it's been that long since I saw someone with that talent. Now, he's still got to prove a lot of things as an NFL wide receiver. He still has to go do it moving forward. But, God, every time you watch the dude, you just say to yourself, this is a dog, man. Like, this is the guy that you want to have on your football team. And so, again, this is why it's hard to be mad. The guys that I think are part of this thing moving forward, they're not the guys I'm mad about. It's the guys that aren't. Anika is apparently laughing every time I talk about them not being the Ravens. They're not the Ravens.
Yeah. Did you say something that's wrong?
No. She's enjoying it.
Oh,
She's enjoying every
yeah.
time
Oh,
I
okay.
say it. She's getting a kick out of it.
Hey,
Because
it's
it's
true.
these aren't.
It's true.
They're just guys that are wearing the uniforms because they had to fill a roster today.
I mean, I tweeted Mayor Scott and asked could he have my son use the chopper. I was going to send my son to Cincinnati.
Right. Whatever we got. Where do we sign up? Where do we? When does it come to us?
My son is 6'3". You know, I feel like maybe he probably was a better opportunity than somebody
He was
else
definitely
on
a better
that
option
team.
than Darryl Worley was today. There's no question about that.
You know, he played some good flag football. He's the best corner in flag football, so I just try and give him an opportunity, you know. But especially when Averett went out, I was like, okay, get the chopper ready. Let me send my son
Just send
off
somebody.
there.
Whoever's
So,
willing to go out there, take a little bit of a beating and get a paycheck,
hey,
right?
man, listen, it was bad. So it's funny, but is it funny because we just trying to keep from crying? Is it funny because in the back of this shield of laughter is like us, like, oh Jesus.
I wish today was the first day that I wished I had something else to do. Like, I wish we didn't have to do a show. I wish we could just sort of come, like I could have.
And sorry, I keep making these faces because the Chiefs game is on and Ben is looking a little bad out here.
Well, I mean, it's been the story of the season.
Yeah.
Nika also said, no, she does not want to see this Ravens team in the playoffs. I mean, that's a weird thing, right? Like, if Lamar Jackson comes back and plays this week, I want to see Lamar Jackson play as much football as I can see from Lamar Jackson because I want to see every opportunity I can to see where he is, particularly after what he's been through, the struggles against the blitz. It would make me feel really good, even if the Ravens lost these last two games, but Lamar Jackson played really well and didn't struggle against the blitz. It would go a long way for me to say, okay, I'm not as worried about that going into next year. It was an anomaly. It was a strange thing.
And honestly, I don't think that's I think that those things can be corrected, Glenn.
I don't disagree with that.
I look at Lamar as a guy that, we talk about this all the time. He's a guy that wants to play hero ball. His first read is to play down the field. Well, they stopped giving you that, and you just refuse to keep taking what's given to you. You see two other quarterbacks come in, and they've been effective largely because they've taken what was given to them. So I'm interested to see if Lamar's seen that and said, okay, mate, this is a me problem, and
right.
I have to fix this and then fix the problem. And I think that is something that can be done. Now, I don't know if that's something that he's going to do this season.
Right.
But I think
I don't know if he's going to play.
That's a good point. I don't even know if he plays at all, but I do think that it's something that it can be corrected. I don't think the blitz is like he can't read it. I think the problem is that he thinks that he can stand there long enough behind that line and think that he can make a play down the field. Stop.
You and I, you're certainly in lockstep when it comes to that. But that's my only response is, do I want to see Josh Johnson and this secondary keep playing football games? No. Do I really want to see Tyler Huntley and this secondary keep playing football games? Probably not either. But even if it's still this secondary and I want to watch Lamar Jackson play as much football as I can possibly watch him play because I'm trying to get answers moving forward. And while I don't have serious concerns about the blitz thing, I do think it'll get fixed. It would make me feel better if it got fixed now instead of waiting until next season to see if it got fixed.
Understood for sure.
Anthony agreed the secondary is not our next year's secondary. Well, yeah, I mean, that's what we're saying. Right. It's not our this. It wasn't. This isn't anything. This is just a group of players. They're guys that were available, and they called them and said, hey, somebody's got to play. Can you do it for us? Kevin Seymour's not a player. Anthony Levine hadn't taken a defensive snap in an eternity.
I know.
Before.
He's a special team guy.
And I love Anthony Levine. He's one of my favorite human beings, and I think that people don't realize how much he means this entire roster. Like, he is that dude for every player on this roster. But he's not supposed to be out there playing safety for you right now. It's not the way it's supposed to go.
Nika tweeted us and said she does not want to see this Ravens team.
Yeah, that's what we're just talking about. Yeah, 100%.
She's not interested, so I get it.
John, am I too sensitive, or are the Bengals classless in the final two drives, sending out starters and passing up? Look, we just talked about it. I don't think we got anything else more to say. I mean, I don't. On the Ravens side of things, I don't care. It would bother me if I was Cincinnati, but on the Ravens side of things, I don't care. Stop them. Go stop them, right? Like, go stop them. You don't have to worry about it. Andrew, am I allowed to be pre-mad at John Harbaugh for bitching about the Bengals still trying to score points late in the game?
Did he say that?
Andrew's making jokes. Did
Harbaugh say that? Oh,
no,
okay.
he's assuming that John Harbaugh is going to be mad about it.
Okay.
He's making a joke. He's saying, am I allowed to be pre-mad at John Harbaugh for bitching about the Bengals still trying to score points late in the game? The same John Harbaugh. Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
We talked about that. And Terrence, yes, that point is relevant. Got to stop them from disrespecting you. Okay, yeah, I mean, go stop them. Now, John follows up by that by saying they also know what secondary they're going up against. Yes, but, like, they don't control that. It's not the Bengals. We can be mad if you want to be mad, but it's not the Bengals' fault that the Ravens are playing a Q-level secondary at this point.
So Pro Football Talk says John Harbaugh seemed unhappy with Zach Taylor for dialing up passes once the game was no longer in dispute. At least the Bengals weren't trying to extend the record for 100-yard rushing game.
This the John Harbaugh's got nothing. He's got no, and I don't know if he's going to talk about it, but if he's mad about it, he's got no leg to stand on there. He has none. And I'll call John Harbaugh out for it. I have no problem. I think John Harbaugh's a hell of a coach. I think he's damn good. He's going to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame at some point.
Yep.
But if John Harbaugh bitches about the Bengals throwing the football when he did the same thing earlier in the season, he's got nothing. He's got no justification for saying anything about it whatsoever.
Right.
None. Zero. And he's wrong, plain and simple. But apparently when asked about it, this is from Jeff Zrebeck's Twitter, Harbaugh on the Bengals throwing late, quote, they call their plays, we call ours.
I mean, I don't know. I hope he wasn't physically I hope he didn't do the whole rant because, it does come off a little hypocritical to
100%.
me.
100%. Justin, I'm at the point now where I'm wondering if Lamar plays again this season. If he can, we're going to keep doing this. If Lamar can play, they're still very much in the playoff race. They're not going to just decide to not play Lamar Jackson the rest of the way. Now, if he can't play, he's not going to play. We always try to overcomplicate this. It's one of the more fascinating things that we do as football fans is like, what percentage does somebody need to be, as if there's a meter on someone's arm that reads what percentage healthy you are. Mm-hmm. It's not hard. If Lamar Jackson can play, he's going to play until they're eliminated. And if he can't, he won't. It's just the reality. Now, Justin, to your point, like, he just might not be healthy enough to play before the year is over. It might only be 2 more games. And if they lose him, they're not going to have any more. So you might end up being right that he just might not be healthy enough to play.
Yeah.
Dave, I don't think Harbs actually cares about the Bengals throwing late. Florio's just stirring up stuff. I'd have to see the context by which he answered the question. Like, it just doesn't read. It reads as him probably actually being mad, but understanding he shouldn't be mad. That's the way, like, in the years that I've covered John Harbaugh, hearing that, they call their plays, we call ours, comes off as, look, I want to be mad, but I know I can't be. And I'll take that. Like, I'll take the, if you know you can't be, you understand it would be hypocritical for me to be mad. As much as I want to be, it would be hypocritical. That's the smartest thing you can do in that situation. If he's actually mad about it, I'll call him out for it.
Yep.
100% I'd call him out for that. There's nothing to be mad about. This is a tweet from Jamison Hensley. The Bengals became the first team with multiple 40-point games in a single season against the Ravens. I'm only a little surprised that in 96-97 nobody had two 40-point games against the Ravens. It's only a little surprised by that.
Particularly because that defense was so bad.
Joe Burrow is the first player in NFL history with multiple 400-yard passing games in a season against the same team, per Elias. These are the types of things that would bother me if these were the Ravens that he played against today. They're not. Like, it's an anomaly, but these aren't the Ravens, man. I can't be worked up about it. Paul, at least the wide receivers showed out a bit. Prochet played well. Bateman played well on the first drive. Not sure what happened to him after that. Wallace had that nice catch and the yak for a first down afterwards. We talked about that, absolutely. Those are positive signs. Hopefully they continue to grow off of that. That's all I can say. What else? What am I supposed to say about that? Yes, 100%. I hope that's the case.
Yep.
John in Little Rock, has Lamar encouraged the public to get vaccinated? I'm assuming he finally is fully vaccinated. He should use his platform to support getting vaccinated. Sure. I'm not going to beat him up about it, but, sure, I'd love it if he did that. That'd be great. It'd be great if Lamar Jackson chose to come out and say people should get vaccinated, but I'm not holding my breath for that to be the case.
I just don't get him to be that kind of guy, and I'm not. Nope. I'm not saying, look, just the same way that we talked about Flacco being a certain type of quarterback that you guys felt. I don't think that he's going to impose that on his guys. And it doesn't necessarily mean that if he does do it, it works, right? Look at what happened. Tom Brady is clearly vaccinated. Antonio Brown was not. And so he can say whatever he wants. Guys have to make personal choices of doing the right thing. He can talk to his blue in the face.
I think John means more for, the public. I think that's what he's saying more.
But why?
We're
not asking for everybody else to do that. Why are we asking that for
Lamar? We are, though. We asked LeBron James to do it. We've asked a lot of people to use their voice that way.
I clearly use Brady as an example.
Right.
And he's mentioned getting vaccinated, but we're not.
Are we not? Should we be calling out Tom Brady?
Then we should call out everybody.
I'm with you.
We should call out everybody.
I don't care about this in particular. The way I said it is exactly how I feel. I'd love it if that were the case. I'd love it if that's what Lamar Jackson wanted to do. But I'm not going to be mad about it on the other side.
I think what's going to happen too, Glenn, and I read something earlier because something had came up about Cole Beasley and how much he's been fined as a result of his he's breaking policy. And one of the things in the thread that I read earlier today was that top execs have been arguing about because he is Cole Beasley, wide receiver for the Bills, because he was COVID-19 positive, he does not lose a paycheck because he tested positive. It's not in the rules. Well, what NFL execs want to do for 2022, obviously it has to get approved, is guys that are unvaccinated
would lose their checks.
They would lose their checks.
Positive.
So what I say to that is that what you may not need is somebody to come out when people's learning money is getting lost.
Yeah, but I think
it's
gonna be tough to get that over the Players Association too. I think it's gonna be unfortunately they got to represent everybody,
yes, that's very
and
true.
Anyone ever losing money is something they're never gonna.
And that's that's very true. It will be interesting to see how this gets played, and it will be interesting to see how if the league tries to create a loophole as a result of them saying no, we're not going to agree with that.
Interesting. And John, I agree. I'm past getting worked up about this team. Not today. Not this team that we saw play today. I ain't getting worked up about this team. Now, I'm still worked up about. There are things that I'm worked up about. I'm worked up about Lamar Jackson's struggles against the blitz. I'm worked up about that. I'm worked up about this franchise thinking that Alejandro Villanueva was an acceptable option at tackle. I'm
sorry, that's not funny, but
there are things that I'm worked up about. There's things that still bother me as a whole. But yeah, today, this game, these aren't the Ravens. How many times can we say it? They're just a group of guys that have to put Ravens on their shirt because there aren't enough of the real ones in order to do it. Now, somebody might say this is what they feel like in Jacksonville every week. Paul, I definitely won't be upset if the NFL schedules Ravens versus Bengals opening game next season, not because of Cincy still throwing at the end of the game. I just want to see our best, or at least close to it, versus their best. The ridiculously depleted roster situation has been the frustrating part of watching these games lately to me. Okay, yeah, I think that'd be a great game to open the season next year. We talked about, Rita, here's the thing that we'll keep saying.
Yep.
I know today wasn't the Ravens, but one thing that we talked about ad nauseum a few weeks back, as long as Joe Burrow stays healthy and has, it's not just Jamar Chase, but Jamar Chase to me still seems to be the most special of the group. But hell, the way T. Higgins has played the last few weeks, holy crap, they're going to be a problem for a long time.
Yep.
And they did it against something that is far closer to the real Ravens earlier in the season. They did it today against, the Z squad today. But they're going to be a problem for a long time. You're going to be dealing with this team for a very long time to come because those guys are good. Like, they're flat good. Tim, I can still get worked up and yell at the TV like I do every time the Ravens play. However, I am ready for next year in a new retooled offensive line and some new corners and better stud pass rushers and just better execution everywhere. Okay, sure. I mean, I'm all for it. From Casey, funny how guys. Oh, this is Casey Willett. What's up, Casey? Funny how guys say the Bengals run up the score, but how often do we ask why is Lamar still in the game, et cetera, et cetera? Harbaugh runs up the score any chance he gets. I mean, I don't think I agree with that either, Casey. Like, I certainly think there have been times where we've wondered to ourselves, why is Lamar Jackson still in this football game? But I don't think that John Harbaugh's got a history of airing it out in 4 or 5 touchdown games. I don't think that's necessarily the case, but I get what you're saying. Again, it goes back to why I'm not bothered. I'm on the Baltimore side of things. It does not bother me even slightly what the Bengals did at the end of the game. That, to me, is a problem for them to deal with in Cincinnati, and it's why I thought, as much as I didn't defend what the Ravens did at the end of the game, I absolutely thought it was absurd Vic Fangio flying and spouting his mouth off. I thought he was nuts. It was absurd.
He went on a tangent, too, and that's what they do over there. What do you mean? You used to work here, sir. Like, did you forget that? So you was a part of that over there at one point. I don't even understand what that was supposed to mean. It was hilarious to me.
So that, that was way over the top. But, again, in the opposing city, just go do it.
Yeah.
Just go get the job done. Stop bitching. But in your own city...
I didn't see him bitch. I mean, I just think he just kind of was like, all right.
Somebody else said that, too. Eric said, saw Harb's post-game comments. It didn't seem like he cared what Cincy was doing. He's a big fan of yours, by the way. This Eric. I don't know this Eric, so I'm... I think it's a different Eric.
Okay.
Big fan of yours.
Oh, right.
Big fan of yours.
But yeah, like if he was mad, he shouldn't be. But if he's not, then yeah, that's kind of how it goes, right? You can't dish it, and then not take it. It doesn't work like that. So
right, correct. And
if that's how you're gonna be. At least say, yes, I felt some type of way, but I'm a hypocrite. Okay,
right,
cool.
Correct. I get it. Yeah,
we was gonna call you that anyway.
I get it. And by the way, if that's what it really is he's biting his tongue, I give him credit for that. I give him all the credit in the world. There's nothing. There are plenty of things that I know I want to be mad about, but I know if I am mad about, I'm a hypocrite for doing
humans.
it.
That is human nature. Yep. Absolutely, he's probably seething by it, but he knows that what he's done earlier this season got so much controversy that he can't really say what he's thinking.
1,000%.
All right, cool. I'm glad you didn't say anything and give nobody any material.
That's what I'm saying. There we go. All right, hey, if you're not playing Underdog Fantasy Football, it's time to start. Underdog Fantasy Football is a lot of fun, and we got free money for you. If you use the code PRESSBOX when you sign up, we'll match up to $100 when you make your first deposit with free money for you to play. Player props, parlays, fantasy games, it's all there. Football, basketball, all sorts of sports that you can play. If they ever play baseball again, they'll do it for that. UnderdogFantasy.com. Go sign up right now or download the Underdog Fantasy Football app. Need just a second here, and then when we come back in, we'll get you set up for Week 17 against the Rams next week. Ravens lose today in Cincinnati. It is the Project Game Day postgame
Window
show.
Depot Baltimore provides the highest quality Pro Via windows, doors, and siding for all budgets. The best is finally affordable. Call them today for a free in-home consultation at 410-941-3499. They also offer Zoom and FaceTime consultations in an effort to practice social distancing. A proud sponsor of the Tyus Bowser Show. You can find out more at WindowDepotBaltimore.com.
I love driving my tractor trailer, and just like you, I just want to make it to my destination safely. If you drive too closely to my truck, I can't see you, and you can't see what's in front of me. If I have to brake suddenly, our lives can be changed forever. If a truck stops quickly, can you? Don't tailgate trucks.
Brought to you by the Maryland Department of Transportation State Highway Administration. Sports fans, the wait is over. The all-new FanDuel Sportsbook is now open at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. This is your chance to win big right in your own backyard. Bet on every sport with self-service kiosks and watch all of the action from the best seat in the house. Make every moment more at the all-new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
The latest issue of Press Box is available now, and it's our very special annual Best of issue. On the cover, we celebrate Justin Tucker as our Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, honoring his historic on-field achievements, but also the unprecedented relationship he shared with Baltimore. Inside, we recognize the top people, performances, and moments of 2021, including Cedric Mullins' incredible season and the dominance of local Paralympic athletes. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores. And you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
From all of the biggest games to the smallest events, make every bet worth your while at MyBookie. Start by doubling your first deposit instantly with MyBookie's first deposit bonus up to $1,000. Double your money before you even place a bet, and all you have to do is sign up and deposit using the exclusive promo code PRESSBOX at mybookie.ag. If your first deposit is $100, MyBookie adds $100 so you can start with $200 to play with. If your first deposit is $1,000, MyBookie adds $1,000 so you can start with $2,000 to play with. With tons of great games and prop bets to take advantage of this week, there is truly something for everyone. Don't wait any longer. Head to MyBookie today to redeem your double deposit bonus so you can start winning big today. That's promo code PRESSBOX to receive double your first deposit instantly in your account. No hassle, no wait. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.
Glory Days Grill's winter seasonal menu is back with comfort classics like their house-made meatloaf and short rib grilled cheese. It also features the center-cut sirloin with grilled shrimp, the char-grilled pork tenderloin, grilled meatloaf sandwich, smoky thigh wings with Alabama barbecue sauce, and a Brussels and bacon appetizer. All of these items pair well with Devil's Backbone 8-Point IPA or their anniversary IPA brewed by Devil's Backbone. And try their seasonal cocktails, Blood Orange Bourbon Cider, Apple Ginger Mule, and Captain's Hot Cider. Find out more and get your order in today at glorydaysgrill.com. Great food, good sports.
All right, Project Game Day post-game show after the Ravens lose to the Bengals today. Rita's enjoying watching the Steelers lose early on in the first quarter against the Chiefs. I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. I always enjoy watching the Steelers lose. I'm with you on that.
Oh, my God.
Although I have an awkward relationship with the Chiefs, too. Although Tyreek ain't playing today, right? No, it's Kelsey. Kelsey that's playing.
But whoever the backup tight end is just getting the same kind of burn, so he's fine.
Anyway, the Ravens lose the Bengals. So now next week it's the Rams at home and then the Steelers to wrap it up. We talked about some of the scenarios that you'll have to be monitoring. Again, it's good news if the Raiders lose because the Raiders would hold a tiebreaker over the Ravens. Of course, like the multi-team tiebreaker also can end up being a thing too with the Chargers being in the mix. And if it's Ravens, Chargers, Broncos, the Ravens would get that because they beat both teams straight up. But if it was Ravens, Chargers, Raiders, above my pay grade at the moment.
Good luck.
Yeah, right.
Good luck figuring it out.
We'll know by the time when we get to the end of the weekend, everybody will explain to us. And the Dolphins are still a factor in there because they play tomorrow night against the Saints. So you got to be a Saints fan tomorrow night. If you still want to see the Ravens make the playoffs, and I get that there are a few people that don't. But that's the reality of the circumstances. I don't really want to talk about this game anymore, so on tomorrow's Glenn Clark Radio, we're not going to do that. Jeremy Kahn's...
Are you not going to talk about it?
We're really not.
What are y'all going to
do? We're
doing
a dumb bit. Jeremy Kahn's coming in here tomorrow morning.
Okay.
We're going to start the show a little bit late. We're going to start at around 10:30.
Okay.
And we're going to drink. We're just going to get drunk, and we're going to do a table read.
I wish I could go. I wish I could come and...
Rita's like, I got a new job.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Rita. We tried to get her to come in and do this with the... You didn't even know what we were going to do because you probably roll your eyes when you find this part out. We're going to do a table read. We're going to get drunk and do a table read of the script of the holiday classic Jingle All the Way.
Oh, that's fun. That sounds fun.
I swear to God, I'm preparing the script because you got to clean it up a little bit, right?
Okay.
So I've been preparing the script today. I'm just rolling my eyes. Like, this is such a dumb thing. This is so dumb.
This is gonna be
it's
quality
gonna be
content.
No, I guarantee you're not getting this anywhere else. Nobody else is doing what we're doing tomorrow
Correct.
morning. Because why in the hell would we talk any more about this football game?
Yeah.
Why would we ever do that?
Yeah.
It can be like it never happened. It can be something we never have to deal with ever again. And we're going to choose that. That's going to be our choice, is to make so that it never happens.
We choose ignorance on this show.
You are out next week. We don't get you next week.
But
we get KZ's back for the Rams game,
Yep.
and then you'll be here for the Steelers
I
game.
will be here for the Steelers.
Very good. Hey, if you haven't been yet, the wait is over, sports fans. The all-new FanDuel Sportsbook is now open at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. Bet on every sport with self-service kiosks and watch all of the action from the best seat in the house. Get down there, check it out. It's an awesome place to hang out and watch the games. Casey brings up the fact that the Ravens were up 34-6 in the fourth quarter with the Chargers, and Lamar Jackson was still throwing the ball. Maybe you're right about that, Casey. I can't remember every possible game, and I also again
that did happen. It did, because people wanted him out at that point. Yes.
And again,
He's
it's
right.
why I'm not mad about what the Bengals are doing. You're not going to get me to get mad about that on their side.
I think people are looking for something to be mad about, and then Pro Football Talk kind of tried to push the narrative, but people are pushing back on it.
And by the way, if I was in Cincinnati, I wouldn't like it. The same way that when it's in Baltimore, I don't like it. That's the way it goes. But I don't care on this side of things. All right, at the NFL Chick on Twitter is how you follow her.
Yes.
Gridiron Gals podcast. Check that out. At Glenn Clark Radio for me, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Me, Jeremy, you, my buddy Ben Lamoon. I know somebody made a big $250 donation to come in and here and hang out with us too. So we're going to try to raise. We're trying it. We already did everything for Helping Up Mission. Now we want to raise a little bit of more money. Jeremy, of course, is now the JV basketball coach at Perry Hall. They're trying to take care of those kids because they've been through it with COVID the last couple of years. So they want to do something nice. So we want to raise $500. We are way more than halfway there. So we could use a couple more of you tomorrow morning. We're trying to entertain you. Throw in a couple donations for us while we do that. All right, Rita, love you. Merry Christmas.
Yes.
Happy New Year.